When I was like 5 or 6, I went to my friend's house to have a sleepover. We hung out until it was time for bed. We laid down in her bed and a couple minutes later I felt like I had to fart, so I did, but I felt the most soggy, doggy, wet, froggy, watery, made the air foggy, and I didn't tell her. I sharted on her bed. Back in 7th grade, Takis and hot Cheetos were becoming trendy, so one day after school I went to my local Walmart and bought some. I tried them for the first time and I understood the hype. So I decided to buy more and brought them to school every day to share with my friends, and we became the popular kids. One day in specific, I was in math class after lunch and my stomach started to rumble. I just ignored it, but then it began to burn. I asked to go to the bathroom in the middle of our integers lesson, and my annoying ass teacher everyone hated said, "No, you should have went during your lunch break." I was fucking pissed and was about to open my mouth to go off on her until I farted, and that fart launched me across the room at maximum velocity like a World War II missile. Someone yelled, "Everyone duck," because I was flying across the room for a good 2 minutes and then I fell on the ground like a deflated balloon. I got back up and ran to the bathroom, but in doing so my chocolate came out like a volcanic eruption and everyone was drowning in my brown lava. I made it to the bathroom to calm my shit until I heard the fire alarm go off. I washed my hands and ran to my locker to save my 2017 fidget spinner and fluffy slime, then ran out the building in slow motion for the fire drill, and the whole fire department came because the building was melting. They put out the chocolate lava fire and investigate to discover that the fire was caused by my Takis and hot Cheetos in my backpack, and now I'm in Takis rehab. So every time I'm at school and I have to change my tampon, I get lazy and I just throw the applicator and packaging and full ass used tampon in the toilet and flush it, cause a bitch ain't about to touch the nasty ass mini trash can anyways. I never really thought much about it, cause you know I don't pay the water bill and those school toilets low key be powerful and flush all that shit down. So one day I flushed everything down and I left the stall and washed my hands, and then I was looking in the mirror cause I didn't wanna go back to class, but then the toilet kept running and I was like, okay, time to get the fuck out. I ain't about to be known as the girl that clogged the toilet. So I walked back to class, then the bell rang. An hour later and bitch, the toilet was still running and the janitors closed the bathroom. A hoe was scared. Then the office made an announcement that all toilets are out of order because of my little ass tampon. The entire second floor was flooded. And I bet my tampon was just floating around in the inch-deep water. We weren't allowed to go to school for a week cause the bathrooms were being fixed, and even after that I kept flushing my tampons because I wanted another free vacation. When I was in middle school I was very dumb and ugly, so what's even more dumb and will make me even uglier? You guessed it, dyeing my hair. Basically what happened was in 8th grade I wanted to be different and stand out, so I got the idea that I should dye my hair. First I did dark red and it was cute and nobody dragged me. Not up until I started doing crazy colors, like when I dyed it neon green and bright purple. At that point I was literally dyeing my hair a different color each month. Specifically when I dyed it neon green, this friend group Natasha, Brittany and Sarah would bully me and call me Beetlejuice or the Joker every time I walked by, and everyone would laugh at me. And this was in 2018, by the way, when hair dyeing wasn't trendy. So a month later I went purple, and when I went up to the board to solve a problem in math class, Sarah shouted, "Guys, look, it's Barney the dinosaur," and her friend Natasha said, "No, it's definitely Grimace the McDonald's mascot," in front of the class, and everyone bursted out laughing. I ran away to the bathroom crying while my teacher was trying to get me to come back to class. I stayed in there until the bell rang and called my mom to pick me up because I was sick. On the way home we stopped at Target for groceries, and I was in the health aisle looking for cough drops because I actually had allergies, and I came across a liquefied laxative. I was thinking about using it for revenge, but I said, "No, we're not doing another shit story." Then I bought it. When I got home I went online for revenge ideas until I came across these things called healing crystals, where apparently they manifest things for you. So I ordered some for revenge off this sketchy website called lovelypeachesburninganditching.com, and they came in over the weekend, so my ass was ready for war, but I still had my special laxative water in case the crystals didn't work. Skip to Monday. I came to school with confidence and 1,000 crystals on my neck. I had most classes with them, and during first period Natasha got caught cheating on her French quiz and got a 0. Then in fourth period math, Sarah came in late because she was locked out of the building because she had gym class outside that day, and while she was walking to her seat she fell in front of the class and everyone started laughing. And finally during lunch, Brittany was walking to her table with her food until she bumped into Gabe, the buffest guy in the whole middle school. Food splatter everywhere on both them and Gabe was pissed. Next thing you know they both started fighting in the middle of the cafeteria. While everyone crowded around to watch the fight, I put the special water laxative in all 3 of their water bottles and ran back to my table acting normal. Then in 8th period history we were learning about 1918 Czechoslovakia until someone said, "Where's that weird smell coming from?" Everyone looked in the direction of Brittany, Natasha and Sarah. Me and Renee looked at each other, smirked and put on our masks and raincoats. Next thing you know a shower of shit sprinkles everywhere in the classroom and everyone was screaming and crying from the horrendous stench. Me and Renee get out our umbrellas and do a petty wave and hair flip to them as we walk out in slow motion with apple bottom jeans playing in the background. Moral of the story: falling in love with your stepbrother isn't like the Wattpad stories. This is my coming out story. So when I was in the 5th grade I had recently befriended a girl who we'll call Jessie. Jessie was a huge germaphobe and my love language is touch, so I guess you know how that worked out. I would always try to hug her and she would just back away slowly, but one day she actually hugged me back and it was the first time this ever happened and I saw the look on her face. Sure, she was a little uncomfortable, but she stepped out of her comfort zone and I was really proud of her. We got closer and closer and I began to develop a crush on her. I didn't know what this meant seeing as I was only 9, but she was my first ever girl crush and crush in general. I looked up what liking girls meant and that's how I found out about the LGBTQ+ community. There was label of lesbian and bisexual that were just drawn to me. I didn't know what I was yet, so I didn't label myself as anything until the end of the school year. When I got home one day I told my mom everything and she was really accepting of me, but told me that I should be careful about this and just live my young life. I eventually got over Jessie and just saw her as a friend, and a few months later I started liking another person and this time he was a guy, so I figured out that I was bisexual and I've been using this label openly and comfortably for over 3 years now and I haven't changed my mind once. By the way, this story is for people to know that they should never be ashamed of what they think and who they like or even how they identify as. Note from creator. I think this message and story is very important. Not everyone's story is going to be the same and not everyone is going to be as supportive as you may think, and unfortunately it can sometimes be your own peers. Coming from someone who is part of the LGBTQ community, it can be hard, especially when you get called names and not being able to defend yourself. Just know that I'm here for you and this page will always be a safe space for you. Keep your head up and always know your worth. You got this.
In 8th grade, I got lucky enough to have a teacher named Mr. T. Everybody wanted to be in one of his classes, but I never understood why until I was put in one. I loved his class so much because he would make Musical.ly videos with us. This story takes place when Musical.ly still existed, of course. One day my friend Mike and I were standing by his desk getting some extra help for the class, and we saw his computer password when he typed it in, and he didn't notice that his password was visible. That day after school Mike came over to my house. We popped open a bag of chips, and we tried using his school computer password to log into his Musical.ly. The shock on both of our faces when the password actually worked was insane. We went through all of his drafts and saw some pretty scarring things like the Grind on Me challenge. No student should have to see that challenge done by their teacher. But getting into his account was so fun, and Mike and I still go on it sometimes.
When I was 10, my 15-year-old cousin and I did the nasty for the first time, and we still do it to this day, and we also do it over the phone and no one knows. From Anonymous. When I was around 4 I had a friend who we'll call Tim. We would play wedding and we would get married and make out right after, and this went on for a while. One day I went over to his house to spend the night and we started making out and almost did the dirty. From Anonymous. Okay, so when I was in senior year of high school my history teacher was having a baby, so we got a sub. And when I tell you he was hot, he was like Draco Malfoy meets young Leonardo DiCaprio. He was finger-licking good, sweaty red face with tongue out. In history class he would stare at me and I would blush. One day he came over to me when we were writing our papers and he asked if I needed help after school. I said yes because I wanted to do the Humpty Dumpty with him. He came over and we started studying. He put his hand on my thigh and at first I was like, pack it up Tony Lopez, Shane, y'all looking ours. But then I remembered the goal winking face. I gave him the Gluck Gluck 3000. And then we had sex. I found out I was pregnant. One day my mom told me that her friend and her friend's daughter would be visiting us while they were still in Florida. I thought this was a great idea and wore a beautiful flowered dress with my bathing suit underneath. When they arrived I saw the daughter's face and she was so beautiful. She had nice dark brown eyes and long eyelashes with cute freckles. I had a huge crush on her. Though I don't anymore, I still remember how pretty she was. When my mom told us to go hang out I took her hand and led her to our pool. She took off her crop top and jean shorts and she was wearing a strapless purple top and purple swimming shorts. We laughed and had so much fun. I brought her inside to get dried off and we went in my room. I'm not really sure what happened, but I didn't say a word to her. I was just too nervous even after the pool. She got up saying that her mom called her, but I just grabbed her and kissed her. It was my first kiss, but I really liked her, so I just said screw it. After a while things got more intense and she pulled away. I saw a hickey on her neck and started to freak out. She made up a plan to do our hair and pretend to burn herself. I didn't think it was a bad idea and went along. My mother taught me how to do hair at a young age, so I knew what I was doing. I braided my own hair and curled her hair. The plan went well and they left. Before leaving I told her that I didn't like her and I was just experimenting. I had only said this because I thought she didn't like me at all and was doing it to not make things awkward. Last year I came out as lesbian and I now like another girl. My parents accepted me and I heard my mom told her friends because she was so happy.